Greetings, loyal minions, beautiful humans. Welcome to the SciShow, the #1 ranked YouTube channel for people who enjoy eating jelly. If that's you, I appreciate you. We are gathered here today to mourn the loss of the once mighty Gooric. Hey, oh man, I wake up and I have a million messages. This video could go into many. I could have literally spent hours making those silly videos, showing Gooric's slow demise or very fast demise. So we have the October balance update. I will run through these a little bit, but I'll jump straight to Gooric. Gooric, Slime Revive can now be dispelled. Increase the duration of the Slime Revive, the slime form after revival from 2 to 3 turns. Gunctus and Gorian are not affected by this change. So this just creates so much discussion and can go in so many ways. Again, it's something we could probably discuss for hours just on this one sort of mechanic as to how and why Small Giant decide to change heroes. So for anyone, especially if you've watched my last war video, you would have seen, there was a whole field of Goorics basically. Gooric becomes extremely difficult to counter when paired with certain heroes because he does have an undispellable Slime Revive, and there's not many people that can get rid of that or counter it in a great way. So it takes a bit of careful planning on heroes that will really smash through once you turn them into a little jelly dude. Did he need a nerf? Possibly. But, I mean, the second part of this, increase the duration of slime form after revival from 2 to 3 turns. Even that would have made it a lot easier. It gives you an extra turn to charge the slime up, to try and kill the slime, to do anything. So to totally change your hero, this is where, as I said, we could discuss this for a long time. I will also quickly, I won't go through this whole balance update. I'll go through the update. I'll then show the gem summon challenge that we also have. And then at the end, I might go into a longer discussion around the nerfing, just so you can get all the information before then. So, let's run through the rest of the list. Atwood, Insanity Inflicted to self-reduce from 55 to 50. Penelope, Insanity Inflicted to enemies on dodge increase from 10 to 15. So this will tie into the discussion at the end. The Insanity Inflicted on self reduced from 55 to 50. Sorry if I'm a little bit sluggish. I have just woken up not too long ago and trying to process all these changes. So the Insanity heroes, they're getting a bit less insanity on themselves. I don't know if that's going to happen with others, but, it's almost a sure bet that those Insanity heroes will be featured very shortly, or there'll be new heroes. And, I mean, it's not too bad from 55 to 50. It's just a small bit of reduction. Some of these Insanity heroes missed out on the cool passives of, more damage or less damage with more insanity and that sort of stuff. So I don't mind that. It makes no real difference because if you fire them twice, they're going to be at 100, but just a tiny little bit less chance to backfire the first time. We can see Gooric there. Just absolutely crazy, humongous nerf to Gooric. Doesn't make him useless, but it makes it a hell of a lot easier to get around with a normal dispel. Pepper Flame, increased damage from 450 to 470. Defense reduction buffed from 30 to 35. So that's a handy little thing for Pepper Flame to keep relevant for a touch longer. Jove, direct damage increase from 450 to 490. Health boost reduction buff from 50 to 65. Doesn't make a huge difference. Rat Grub, The Mega Minion health increased 35 to 40, damage on ally special 240 to 250. So obviously Rat Grub wasn't as useful as they were planning. That's originally his buff was being removed even when he had the Mega Minion. That sort of put a lot of people off. Then it got fixed. But yeah, I haven't really seen much of Rat Grub. Nice little boost. Ironheart, direct damage increased from 500 to 520. The first target of the special skill is no longer random. That's really awesome. Lets you get a bit of a snipe in on the target you want. So now it deals 520% damage to a target and 520% damage to a random different enemy. Mana and health gained on enemy defeat increased from 30 to 35. Counterattack damage increased 100 to 110. Decent little buff for Ironheart. Then it looks like we're into the Hero of the Month's Agar. Defense buff increase. I'm not going to read through those ones. They're tiny little increases. They're not enough. These heroes are ridiculously old. They need stat increases rather than stupid tiny little buffs to their special. To the point where, I mean, again, if you're playing at a level where you do have some of those heroes, they are nice little buffs for this, for that level. But really, in regards to the majority of sort of upper mid-level, those heroes aren't being used, and a 50% increase to a hero who's half as strong as the newer ones isn't going to make them relevant. So we hope the adjustments above will help you field these heroes in a wider range of situations. If you feel that your favorite hero could really use a buff, please remember to let us know on EMP Discord. I can imagine there'll be like hundreds of people on there saying, hey, how about you give Gooric a buff? Anyway. There we go. Stop your summons. I apologise, I don't have a graphic for this one as yet. I think a lot of people are sort of struggling now with the forums going down and Discord popping up. It is a little more difficult to find the certain things, or people just haven't been posting because some people either don't or can't use Discord. Anywho, we have another gem summon challenge popping up tomorrow, tonight, depending on where you are. Should be around about 12 hours from now, so I know this isn't a heap of notice, but if you're planning to do any summons, don't do them just yet, unless you really want to do it in the current portal. Gem Summon Challenge. It's a 30 gem, so that's quite large. It's a lot of summons for most people to be doing. Now, we can see the heroes down here. We have a fantastic hero in Ceres. Now, this portal, a lot of people will be very tempted because we do have the astral, dwarves, elves, etc. So that's really handy. If you were planning to do the summons, you're going to get, well, depending on which one you get, there's a chance of getting some fantastic heroes. So we'll go through them. Ceres is fantastic. Quarry's quite good. Soundness still decent. Megwin, pretty awesome healer. Gongoth. Then we get into the astral elves, which are a little bit older and kind of, again, if you're playing at that top level, these heroes would rarely be used anymore. Sparklight, Starwalker, Lemonwood, Moonflower, and Demiloon. Lemonwood still quite good on offense. Don't see on defense much anymore. Again, I'm talking about sort of the higher and even mid to high levels. So out of those, you might be happy if you get 3 or 4. So keep in mind that is a guaranteed 5-star. However, you cannot choose which one you get. So you may have a 30% chance of getting a hero that's really good. If you're playing at a lower level, then you're going to get probably a fantastic hero compared to your roster. But is it worth doing 30 summons? It's a lot of summons. It needs to be done with gems, so you can't use any tokens. This actually plays into the Gooric discussion. It's hard. I'll finish this discussion first, then I'll get into the Gooric stuff. I personally don't, unless you were going to do 30 summons, I personally wouldn't be going out of my way to do them just to try and get one extra hero. If you were planning to do 20 summons, it may be a reason to do an extra 10 because then you then also get a guaranteed hero because you're still getting whatever you get with your 30 summons as well. So just hoping, as I said, it's a little bit harder to find this information now. I wish these things would be advertised properly in game. I know they don't advertise them because they're hoping that people, will summon now and then this will happen and they'll summon again. But yeah, it's really a matter of making sure you're only summoning where you want. You're summoning with, money that you have. And yeah, um, depending on which portals are there, they may not be worth doing any summons. There was the new Bard coming out last night, so that portal will still be open. But yeah, make that decision. Just know that if you do the 30 summons, there is the extra hero there. There's probably, there's some quite good heroes, but also some heroes that are getting a bit older and not as useful. All right, let's jump back into the Gooric and overall nerfing discussion. So there's so much discussion to be had because obviously a lot of people are going to feel extremely cheated. Other people are going to be like, oh my god, it's finally happened. It's so great because he was ruining the game. Now, I can see all sides of this discussion. I've played other games where nerfs have happened. I've played other games where nerfs haven't happened. My main concern is consistency. So there are no real, and again, I've mentioned before with Small Giant taking us on the journey and actually sharing information. So there's no reason, or there's no clear, consistent reason why a hero gets nerfed or a hero gets buffed. They spread out some stuff about very, very basic, we have data. Well, show the data. It also ties into timing. So Gooric came out, he wasn't seen as a fantastic hero, but then people started using in certain ways, and it wasn't so much Gooric himself that made him extremely damaging. It was the heroes he was paired with. If Gooric wasn't paired with absolute uber heroes that did, silence and huge damage, and more recently the Veggie Fiends, he could be overcome. You could slowly wear them down. You could pick off targets here and there using snipers. There was different methods of getting rid of the heroes around him, and then you could finish him off. He then started being paired with like Ceres, Song Yang, just heroes that were not only doing heaps of damage, but also silencing and making it really hard to get things happening. You pair it with a Sable, another Reviver. It just, became a nightmare with certain formations. So it's very, very similar for anyone who was around in the Teluria, Vela, Gravemaker era. It's very, 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 very similar. Even that Gooric himself wasn't ridiculously. I mean, yeah, it wasn't ridiculous. It was very, very strong, but it was only when it was paired with certain heroes. So we look at this and we say, okay, one, why did you wait so long? Like, how much data do you need to know that Gooric was a pain in the butt? The veggies. The veggies have made it so much worse because you need to take enough healers to get rid of the veggies or to try and survive the Veggie Fiends, which means you don't quite have enough damage to take down the Gooric slimes, etc. So it now begs the question. Now, the thing is, it hasn't popped up too often in Empires and Puzzles in regards to the nerfs. There's only been a few along the way, and this is what makes it even worse, I think. So I played League of Legends for a little while, quite a few years ago, and it was a very common thing that the heroes were constantly being changed. And the thing is, because it was consistent, you could get into that understanding of, okay, these heroes are going to be changed. Keeping in mind, I don't know League of Legends now, but you didn't have to pay ridiculous amounts to possibly summon a hero. It was a guaranteed purchase. You got heroes. There was a lot of them. But it was very, very common for those heroes to evolve and change. Now, the thing is, it kept basically every hero relevant. The issue with Empires and Puzzles, with so many heroes, and the fact that all the old heroes aren't getting any buffs at all, really, to keep them relevant. We've recently seen, and we can see here that some, and this was a good change. So instead of, I know I might be going a little bit all over the show here, but there's so many things to discuss. Yeah, it would be great to have a panel of people discussing these things and getting so many different opinions, because there are so many out there. But we've recently started buffing heroes that have been out for, 2 to 3, even 5, 6 months. They're getting little buffs to keep them relevant. Now, a lot of people didn't like that because they're like, oh, you're buffing newer heroes, buff the old ones. But the old ones are basically that far gone, unless they did a humongous change to their whole business practice and game. It's almost accepted that those old ones are really never going to be made fully relevant unless they get a costume, which then brings them back in a little bit. So buffing recent heroes to keep them up with the brand new heroes, that was an okay thing. Like, a lot of people didn't like it, but I didn't mind it because it meant, well, okay, I got a hero 4 months ago. It's not quite outdated yet. They've just buffed it a little bit to keep it relevant. But with these huge nerfs, it's like, it's totally the opposite. It's taking a hero now. Gooric's been out for, I don't even know how much. I'm going to say like 8 months. It's been a while, maybe 6. And it's evolved with the teams he was been using. It's a challenge to try and overcome him. Some people love that challenge. Some people just think it's ridiculous because it's too hard. But to completely nerf a hero that people have spent money on, even in some cases chase, and I know that's everyone's individual responsibility as to what they've spent and how they've gone about it, but it really does, and it hasn't really happened since Taloria, so I think the trust was being built again that instead of nerfing a hero, we're going to change other heroes to make it easy. We're going to release some counters which make it easier. In this case, to me, it lowers that trust factor of why bother going for a really good hero. Again, now it doesn't happen to a heap, but it doesn't take many examples to really lower that trust and say, well, why would I bother chasing a hero, especially? Like, again, everyone should be purchasing within their means, but we also know that that's not quite as simple as it is. There's people out there that, myself, I'm doing a series at the moment where I'm tracking my spend in October, trying to save some money. Keep an eye out for that. But occasionally I'll spend more than I'd really like to. Like, it's not money I don't have, so I'm not in any sort of bad position. But sometimes it's like, oh no, that hero's really good. Oh, I might just spend an extra $100 and see if I can grab that hero. This just makes that so much harder because it's like, well, what's the point? But we know there's also the fear of missing out. Everyone sees a good hero. So yeah, I think I suggest everyone go and leave feedback, not so much specifically about Gooric, but just about, log a ticket, reach out to your account manager, because he doesn't need such a huge buff. Such a huge nerf. There's other ways we could do it without making him... This basically, for people at the top level, people that have been using him, people that have probably gone out and spent money specifically trying to get this hero, this makes him useless at that level. So, yeah, if it became a more regular thing and there were small nerfs, small buffs, keeping more heroes relevant, I think everyone would be a lot happier. We'd get used to it, and it wouldn't, I'm not going to complain if I've bought a hero and they do a tiny little buff to make, or a nerf to either keep it relevant or bring it back to the field a little bit. Like, everyone, it's still a challenge, and it's the same for everyone. Like, I might feel a bit hard done, but it's like, oh shit, I've got Gooric as my tank. I'm going to get smashed now easily. But it's the same for everyone else. It also makes the game easier for me. And it just makes different combinations then start coming into play. But yeah, I wouldn't hate this apart from the fact they go overboard and it doesn't happen consistently enough and it takes too long. So those are the reasons. It's not the action itself, it's the way it's done and the consistency around it, in my opinion. So, uh, wow. I hope that wasn't too much rambling. As I said, I love these discussions, but there's just so many different ways this could go. And this is where it would be great to have more contact and more, like, the ability to actually have these discussions with Small Giant, because it's just crazy, basically, that this stuff happens without sort of sharing the data, showing us, letting the people be part of it. Now, they may say, oh, we had so many people telling us he needed a nerf, and that's fine, but, at least come out with some options. Ask the playing base, the ones that are actually fully aware, ask exactly how we can make this easier, rather than just jumping at, oh, let's make it dispellable. I think it shows they're not participating in their own game enough. They don't understand the exact mechanics as to how things are working. But anyway, that's all. I'll probably end up doing an outfitter video today or this week as well, so keep an eye out for that. Let me know your thoughts. I love reading all the thoughts on these nerfs, and yeah, it's kind of one of those things. A lot of people want the nerfs until they happen, and then it's like, oh, especially if you've just got the hero recently. Um, but let me know your thoughts. Always enjoy reading. If you enjoy what I'm doing, remember to gently press the subscribe button. Give your kitty a scritch for me. Have a bloody good one. Just a very small update. I have actually I called my account manager. So it's also a bit of an update on the Elites Club. I've sent a few emails in the past, had no response. I haven't been contacted again by the account manager since the first time. Just called, got a message, so I've left a message. I will let you know if there's any follow-up to that, but I highly doubt there will be. Maybe just some weak acknowledgement. But anyway, have a good one.